All right. Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful April morning here in Charlotte, North Carolina. The sun is just about to come up over those trees, and I'm about to send it proper style on my Parajet Zenith at Lake Norman. So here we go. Springtime is upon us, and it is proper send time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
No matter how many send times I've had, I cannot figure out this Hero 4 with the Cena backpack. It always eludes me. Most of the time it works, but this time it did not. So I am here at my computer watching this footage with you, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I remember myself talking about on this flight. And I do start my engine on the ground. I'm sorry, I've been doing it since 2008, and I will continue to do it. I don't care what you people say, but I always start my engine on the ground. I properly let it warm up. I turn it off. I put my frame on my back, and then I start the engine. So leave a comment if you don't like it, but that's what I do. That's what I've always done. I check the throttle beforehand. I do a proper pre-flight check to make sure that my engine will operate normally, and then I start the engine on the ground and I turn it off after it's warmed up. I put it on my back. I do have a Moster 185, and I've never had to change the exhaust pipe. Whatever. Come at me. Come at me if you don't like it. Alright, so here I am. I'm walking over to my risers that I've laid out. And I'm going to put those on. Make sure that the A risers are in the up position, because I have a long time ago I've taken off with them backwards, so whatever. Now, if you don't notice, my shoes, they're Solomon's. My shoes are Solomon's because I got tired of getting wet feet before I took off, so I got some waterproof shoes. Those really help, so you don't have wet feet when you take off in the morning. Especially, we fly in the morning, you know, and here on the East Coast it's kind of wet outside in the morning. There's a lot of dew. And so I think it's really important to have waterproof shoes. My Polini throttle, I do have a Polini throttle. I cut it off midway on the throttle piece, and that's just the way I do it. Start up nice and easy on that Moster, pulling that riser, that brake line, getting my A risers in my hand. Now I am flying with a Insta360. It was a little windy this flight, so I did not deploy the Insta360 the entire flight. So I'm sorry about that. Here we go. Now, if you notice, I paused for quite a while. I know I'm about to send it, but I paused for quite a while. It's very early in the morning. I'm trying to get a grasp of the wind, and not only that, I'm trying to set myself up for success for this flight. Mentally prepare for this flight. Here I am, making sure my engine is at 100%. It is.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Here I am. I'm pausing. I'm looking around. But more so, what I'm doing here is mentally preparing myself for this flight. I know I'm about to fly over the lake. I'm thinking about, I do have flotation. What am I going to do when I take off? Where am I going to fly? What safety precautions I am going to take? I'm ready. I go. And I'm off. I get in the seat. I don't realize, I do not know that freaking Hero 4 is not connected to my Cena backpack. I'm trying to restart it. It restarts, but unfortunately it was not connected to my Cena backpack. So that's why I'm talking to you right now. Which may be a good thing. Maybe this is more interesting than me talking and yelling while I'm flying, but we'll see. We'll see. Look at these houses. They're so big. So big. It's early in the morning. The wind is not supposed to be very strong. I looked at what the wind was at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. It was calling for 5 knots. By the time I took off, it was calling for 8 knots. And the water looked pretty smooth. So I knew there wasn't that much wind, but I could also see at this point, I could see that there was some rotor happening from the top of the trees on the upwind side of the trees. So I knew in a way that it wasn't going to be that much fun, and I couldn't get that low. So that's kind of what I was thinking. But right now what I'm thinking is, wow, these houses are huge. And I'm trying to kind of think about where am I going to go fly, because a lot of times when I take off from this spot, which I've been taking off from this spot since 2015, so over 6 years I've been taking off from this spot and flying Lake Norman. Do I want to go left from my perspective right now, or do I want to go right? If it's really, really smooth, I'll go right and I'll go fly out over the lake. If it's not so smooth, I'll go try and explore a little bit to the left, which is the east, and I'll go explore a little bit and we'll see how the wind pans out. Now, what's really interesting is this highway that goes over the lake. It's almost like a island of highway. It's really fun to play around with. So you'll see here in a few minutes. I test out my speed bar on the cars right next to it. It's pretty early in the morning right now. It's really cool. It's not very warm, but as I said before, send season is upon us. Oh, and here we go. A lot of people are asking which hand do you use your throttle in, and I of course use my throttle in my right hand. For some reason I am right-handed and I use my phone in my left hand. I do have a phone strap. I'll drop the link in the description below on where I bought my phone strap. It's on Amazon, but it's amazing. I would never have a phone without it again. It holds all my cards, my credit cards, my bank cards are in this phone strap. Right now I'm taking a picture of myself. I use my left hand. I don't know why. It's just what I do. So I do at times take my Fujifilm X-T4 up with me, a professional camera, and I take those photos with my right hand, and I'm able to have my throttle in my right hand and still use my trigger finger to take pictures. So take it for what you will. That's how I roll. It is a beautiful morning here in Charlotte at Lake Norman. It's always beautiful every time you decide to fly. Now, okay, so you guys may criticize me for this, but I do not take off with my speed bar attached, the lines attached. I just don't. Maybe I could, maybe I should, but while I'm in flight, I like to put them on. And I like to fly with my speed bar a lot. I love the way that the speed bar allows me to fly really fast whenever I want, but I don't like taking off with it attached. And I do have what's called a PK system, so you're gonna see in a second, when I engage the speed bar, the backside lines release. So basically I can go from full speed to 0 speed on my glider at any given point by pushing the speed bar or by releasing the speed bar. And I think that it is amazing because it gives me a wide range of options on flying my glider without having to pull in or releasing trimmers. It's all by my feet. It's all by my feet. Here we go. There it is. A's are all the way out. D's are all the way in. Now I did mess up here, and you're going to see in a second. I'm like, why did this happen? Well, my speed bar line was caught up in some foolishness that I have placed on my swing arm. Maybe you're gonna see it. Maybe you'll see it. I put something on my swing arm to attach the selfie stick, basically, of the Insta360, so that I could just pull it out and screw it on, and it got in the way here. So that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, but now I know to watch out for that. I didn't use my Insta360 on this flight. I just felt like it would be a distraction. So kind of have to balance those use of cameras every time you fly, and balance them, you know. Some people fly with a chase cam, a Insta360 on a stick, a helmet cam. Me, on this flight, I'm flying with a helmet cam. I'm flying with a camera strapped around my leg, which did not work for me. That Hero 4 backpack Cena. I gotta figure out how to ensure that works, so I don't have to come back and talk after I'm done flying, after I've already said this stuff. So I'm basically saying this stuff twice in a row, but it's okay. You can see so much pollen landing on the water. Look at that swirl, all that pollen. It's everywhere. It's all over everybody's cars. It makes me sneeze. It's so much pollen. Look at it. It's everywhere in the water. Alright, I'm trying to get on my speed bar. So, what I was saying here, I remember what I was saying. The speed limit on this road right here, it's 77 north, going through Lake Norman, is 65 miles per hour. And most of these people are doing 75, 80 miles per hour. Okay? I know that because I drove that way. Most of these people are doing 75, 80 miles per hour. So I can't really estimate how fast I'm going right now, but it was fast. Trust me. That's why I love that PK system. It is so amazing. Now I'm going into the wind, which would be the upwind leg. If you could call that road like a runway. Now I'm going upwind, quite a bit slower, but I just want to do it one more time and see how that speed bar with that PK system relates to these vehicles going about 75, 80 miles per hour. Alright, so one of the things I did wrong here is I came out on speed bar while I was in the turn. So you're gonna see me trying to correct for that and trying to make myself straight. But there it is, 65 miles per hour. Got the speed bar fully out. I'm going a little left and right, it's okay. Not many cars to the left of me right now, so we can't get a real good comparison of it. There you go, there guys, he's probably going like 70. Oh, this guy in the Jeep, he had his face out with a camera out recording me. It was kind of funny. And now I kind of want to see what it's like on the other side going the opposite direction. About the same speed right now. They're obviously speeding up. I pull off the speed bar. I don't really want to mess with these to the right and left of this highway that much, you know. So I decide at this point I'm gonna go explore some other areas. Even though it's legal to fly next to this highway, for example, I'm not flying directly over them. I cross over for a moment, but I really don't want to mess or distract from these drivers flying their cars. So I continue on. Like I said, beautiful morning. It's hard to tell from the GoPro image the level of wind that is occurring right now. It looks super glassy on the water, and it is in most parts, but I am starting to see some ripples on the water on the back side of some of the tree lines. Okay, so it's not that smooth where I am right now. Trust me, if it was smooth, I would be down right next to the water, flying right next to those trees. That's what I love to do. I love to fly super low, right next to the trees, explore like I'm a drone basically. You can't really say like you're a helicopter, because if I was a helicopter, I'd be pretty much at the altitude I'm at right now or higher. But as a paramotor pilot, we love to get down in there low, low, low. However, the wind was a little bumpy and I didn't feel comfortable with it on this day, even though it was super early in the morning. You might have seen a video from Tom Kubat. I saw it just today, actually. As a matter of fact, I saw it just today. And he interviewed a guy who was flying about this altitude, about 300 feet. He thought the winds were just fine, and whop! He had a inversion. I don't know. I really don't know exactly. I'll drop a link in the description below. Watch his video, and you'll see the guy. I really don't know what happened to that guy. It's never happened to me, but his wing slapped him in the face and he dropped out of the sky and hit the ground. I was looking at that field just there thinking, okay, maybe one day I could take off from there, but I think where I take off from now is just fine. I've talked to the owner and he's super okay with it. And like I said, I've been flying from that field over Lake Norman since 2015 when I first moved to Charlotte. So I love this spot. It's beautiful. It is dangerous. It is very dangerous. I have flown with jet skis, with boats, and I even had a friend, he almost died flying with me over Lake Norman, and he did not have flotation, and he crashed just on the other side of that bridge right there. He ran out of gas and he went into the water just on the other side of that bridge up there. And luckily there was a boat that came and saved him. Otherwise he would have died. So I have flotation, but that's not to say that it's a guarantee save. It's dangerous. You're flying over water like this, it's very dangerous. And like I said, I would love to be right down next to that water. I'm flying by myself. It's early in the morning. There's no boats out here, and so yeah, I'm thinking about all that kind of stuff right now. I'm thinking about it right now in my head. I want to go low. I want to go low. Now I know I'm on the upwind side of all the wind that's coming from the south. I can go down low. I can. But I'm thinking about that stuff. You got to be a pilot, an aviator at all times. And here I'm about to come north into this inlet and turn right and go over some fields, and I'm thinking about power lines. And you got to be thinking about this stuff all the time, every second that you're flying. Oh wait, I look at this building. Yeah, this building right here, and I'm like, wow, that's a weird, cool looking building. Let me go check that out. You know, my engine quits here. Maybe the parking lot. Huh. Maybe a tree. Who knows? Look at that. Look at that building. I think that this is a church. I don't know. But they've got all kinds of cool stuff. And there's like a pond. And then I remember I could see the name of the building while I was flying over it, but I can't remember the name. But I think it was a church. I'm going back into the wind, so if my engine quits here, going into the wind, I'm in a tree. Unless I can turn back and land in that parking lot back there. But definitely something to consider when you're flying. If you're going into the wind and your engine quits, your landing options. A lot of times when I fly, I don't care about my landing options. I'll go into a tree. I don't care. And that's up to me. You know, that's my choice. A lot of you guys may not agree with that, but you know what? It's my choice. And I've never gone into a tree before, but if my engine quits and I go into a tree, I'm gonna hug the tree. My next flight, I'll probably go into a tree. It's okay. Alright, so I'm about to approach this field right here, and from the top level, it looks like it's fine. But just to the right, in the corner of this field, there is a power line. I'm pointing at it right now. So if you were to think that all green fields are fine, you're wrong. You have to pay attention. There's a pole to the left over there, and just to the right of that road right there, there's another power line. And you really got to be careful with these power lines. They will mess you up. I've seen it. I have seen the results of guys flying low into power lines, and it's not pretty. One of my friends introduced me to another guy. He was from France who was flying. He ran into some power lines, unfortunately, and he basically lost his entire hand. The entire side of his face was disfigured from burning from the power line catching his fuel tank on fire. You don't want this to happen to you. Okay, look right here. You would think that there would be a power line down this row of trees, but there's all kinds of things like this in the United States where there's a row of trees that are cut out. Most of the time it is a power line, but sometimes it is a pipeline. So just be cognizant of that. And even if you think it's a pipeline, you're flying down there, check it first from above the tree line before you go in there, because there may be some power lines that go across. Like I said, personal experience, I've seen what can happen to dudes that hit power lines. Probably 9 times out of 10 it won't happen, but that one time out of 10 it could catch you on fire, and you're gonna lose arms or legs or your face from it. I've seen it. Don't let it happen to you. Alright, so now I'm headed back towards my takeoff spot. the sun is getting a little higher. I know it hasn't been that long, but I feel from this altitude the turbulence that's coming off the trees, the houses. But you know what? I'm looking over at the trees on the north side of the lake. I can see the lake, and maybe you can see right now, there's a little bit of swirl on the lake on the north side of a tree line. But north of that, it's smooth. So I'm kind of thinking in my mind right now, I can go to that north side and just skim the north side a little bit low. So that's what I'm about to do, and I am going to do that, and I'm going to tell a story. And I said the story to my GoPro Hero 4 with the Cena backpack, but it just didn't come through. So I'm gonna say that story here in a few seconds. But right now I'm kind of flying over there to go check it out. Alright, so I want to tell you guys about the story that I have that happened the day before my birthday on March 23rd. I'm telling this story as I'm flying, but I'm telling you right now as I'm talking to you. So, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my fiance and I were driving in our Sprinter, and I like to call it a paramotor mobile because I made it for the purposes of dragging along my paramotor in the back. And it is an amazing vehicle. It's got a shower, a toilet, a bed, a kitchen, and in the back there's a garage for my paramotor. And while we were driving this over to the mountains in Western North Carolina, we were specifically going to a place called Hot Springs, North Carolina. We had to drive up a pretty significant hill or mountain, if you will. And all of a sudden my fiance, she woke up, she was asleep, and she said, "What's that noise?" And I was like, I had the radio on, and I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What's that noise? Don't talk about her like that. Don't talk about her like that." And then it got worse. And the next exit, basically at the peak of this mountain, I had to pull over because it was so loud and I was very concerned. Pulled over. I have a OBD2 scanner. I scanned the code. When I pulled over, I got a engine light. I scanned the code. It said cylinder 3 misfire detected. Okay, so we called a roadside mechanic. He couldn't help us. The gist of it, the long story short, is that the next day we had it towed to a place called Eurotechnic, and they ended up charging me almost $1,000 to tell me that I need a new engine, and their quote was $19,000 for a new engine. I said, "You guys are crazy. You guys are insane. You're highway robbers, and that is not acceptable." So I talked them down in price, and I said, "Okay, I think that this will be acceptable. You know, price X will be acceptable, and I'm gonna have it towed." And little did I know, I got on Facebook and I asked a group, Sprinter van owners, does anybody know anybody in Charlotte that works on Sprinter vans? And somebody said, "Hey, I know this guy. He's a really good guy. Zeke's Auto Works in Hendersonville," which just so happens to be 2 miles away from the original place, Eurotechnic, that I took it to. So, long story short, I had it towed there. The guy, he got on the phone with me, actually today, and said, "I started your van up 5 seconds. I know you need a new engine." And he said it's not my fault. It could have been, maybe it's not my fault. I just changed the oil on my own to Mobil 1, but Sprinter vans are notoriously known for being very, how do you say, very susceptible to the kind of oil that they have. So if you are ever thinking about buying a Sprinter van, it's a Mercedes engine made in Germany. You must put the right spec oil in there. And so what Zeke told me is that it's possible that the previous owners were not putting Mercedes spec oil in there, which over time caused the engine to reduce its lifespan. So that could be the cause of it. I don't know, but I do know one thing: it needs a new engine. I probably threw a connecting rod bearing, is what he told me, and all the videos that I've watched online on YouTube are consistent with that fact that a connecting rod bearing was thrown. So what I'm gonna do is I've made the conclusion that if I get a new engine from Zeke's Auto Works in Hendersonville, North Carolina, I will be spending less money than what I would spend on buying a Sprinter van, and the Sprinter van that I would buy would not be conducive, or would not be how I want it to be built for a paramotor van. You know, if you have a paramotor, the kind of transportation that you take your paramotor on to fly has to be a very, you know, how you want it. And I've had 3 vans. Now this is my 3rd van. I think a van is the best one for transportation. Not a truck, not a car, but a van. And I built this one specifically so that I could put the paramotor into a garage, so to speak, so that I could transport my paramotor without the smell of fumes or what have you. And so my fiance, Holly, will be okay with sleeping in the cabin and very comfortable. So it's kind of like a toss-up, like how you want to create this environment that's conducive for the paramotor and the fiance. If you understand what I'm saying, it's a balance, and it's not really a balance because the fiance wins every time. So if you don't do it right, the fiance is not coming. So anyways, here I am landing. There's my Corvette. It's a Z06. Yes, it is. And we're coming in for a landing, smooth as always. And I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video. I cannot wait to hear your comments. Drop a comment in the description, in the comment section below, and let me know what you think about the van. I would love to hear what you guys think about the van. I'm not a diesel mechanic, but I really truly believe that the guy that I took my van to now has my best interests in mind, and we're gonna get this Sprinter back on the road. I spent a lot of time on it, my own time. You know, I don't know, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a carpenter, I am not a plumber, I'm not an electrician, but I had to become all of those things at once to create this van. And it's really just to put my paramotor in the back, and while putting my paramotor in the back, to take my fiance with me. If I hadn't done that, she wouldn't come with me. So in essence, it's all about my fiance, which that's the way it should be, because person you love the most should be and is the most important thing in your life. So, but take a look at that Corvette. Oh man, I love Paramotor. I love that Corvette. I love that van. But I love my fiance. So whatever it takes to make her happy, we're gonna do. So, alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. And until then, hey, maybe check out some of my fiance's videos. She has an amazing voice and an amazing sound over effects. Take a look at them. I'll drop a link below. It's hilarious. I love her. Alright, see you guys.